The eulogy choked in Cameron's throat like a fistful of gravel. His father's polished oak casket gleaming under the fluorescent lights of the First Presbyterian Church in Elmwood, Ohio, a town so small it clung to the edge of Lake Erie like a forgotten postcard. "Dad wasn't just a man," he started, voice cracking over the microphone that hummed like a dying bee. "He was the rock we all leaned on. The guy who'd fix your carburetor at dawn and still make it to Sunday brunch with that god-awful burnt toast." Laughter rippled through the pews, a fragile dam against the flood of tears. But Cameron's eyes locked on his mother's, sharp, unyielding, her lips a thin line that screamed, "Don't you dare." And then, as the organ swelled into amazing grace, she leaned in during the recessional, her breath hot against his ear. "Not here, Cam. Not today. Bury it with him. He'd promised. God, he'd promised. Because what else could he do?" His father, Tom Hargrove, had built this life brick by Midwestern Brick, the hardware store on Main Street that sold everything from nails to neighborly gossip, the little league coaching gig where he'd hollered encouragement until his voice gave out, the quiet evenings on the porch swing with a Budweiser and the distant crash of waves. Tom had known. Hell, he'd walked in on Cameron once, 16 and fumbling with a high school boyfriend in the barn, hay bales toppling like dominoes of shame. "Son," he'd said, clapping a calloused hand on Cameron's shoulder, "love who you love. Just keep it quiet till the world's ready." Quiet. That word had echoed through the years, a muzzle on Cameron's heart, turning every stolen kiss in Cleveland bars into a guilty secret, every grinder swipe into a midnight confession to the ceiling. Now, at 28, with Tom's cancer-riddled body finally stilled, Cameron stood in the church basement amid folding tables laden with Jell-O salads and deviled eggs, the air thick with casseroles and condolences. His sister, Becca, 32 and married to a realtor with a comb over that screamed suburbia, cornered him by the coffee urn. "You did good up there, Cam." Real touching. Her hug was perfunctory, like checking a box. But her eyes flicked to his tie, slightly askew, the one with the subtle rainbow pin he'd forgotten to remove, and her smile tightened. "Just remember what Mom said. Uncle Ray's here, and you know how he is. Bible thumper's gonna thump." Cameron nodded, swallowing the bile rising like Lake Erie's fog. Uncle Ray, Dad's brother, the one who'd once sermonized at family Thanksgiving about the sins of Sodom raining down on San Francisco. Yeah, he remembered. The family had gathered that morning in the parsonage. Mom dabbing at her eyes with a lace hanky, Becca fussing over flower arrangements, and Uncle Ray presiding like a judge in black robes. "We're Hargroves," he'd boomed, as if the name were a shield. "We honor the dead with dignity, not distractions." Mom had squeezed Cameron's hand then, her nails digging crescents into his palm. "Please, baby. For your father. Pretend. Just for today." So he pretended. Smiled at the old-timers from the VFW who'd fought beside Tom in Nam, swapping war stories laced with whiskey breath. Nodded at the widow from the library who'd baked Tom's favorite apple pie for years, her voice wobbling as she recalled his gentle baritone reading bedtime stories to Cameron and Becca. And when Cousin Jenny asked if he was seeing anyone special, he mumbled something about work, graphic design gigs freelancing from his cramped apartment in Columbus, pixels safer than people. But the pretending cracked like thin ice under the weight of a stranger's gaze. He felt it first during the procession to Lakeside Cemetery. The line of Buicks and F-150s snaking through Elmwood's leaf-strewn streets, wipers slapping against a drizzle that turned the world to watercolor smears. Cameron rode shotgun in Mom's Oldsmobile, Becca in the back scrolling her phone for appropriate sympathy playlists. That's when he spotted him. A man in a battered leather jacket, leaning against a rusted pickup at the cemetery gates, arms crossed like he was daring the rain to touch him. Mid-30s, maybe, with shoulders broad enough to carry a grudge and eyes the color of storm-tossed waves. Blue, piercing, unapologetic. He didn't join the mourners milling around the tent. He just watched, a ghost in broad daylight. By the graveside, as the pastor droned about eternal rest and the flag from Tom's casket was folded with military precision, Cameron's knees buckled under the spray of dirt on the lowering mechanism. He gripped the folding chair, knuckles white, the rainbow pin glinting like a tiny rebellion. And then the stranger moved. Not a lunge, but a step deliberate, parting the crowd like Moses at the Red Sea. Uncle Ray's voice cut through the patter of rain. In Jesus' name, we commit this good man to the earth. But the stranger's hand clamped on Cameron's shoulder. Firm, electric, grounding him like an anchor in a squall. Tom wouldn't want this bullshit, the man said, loud enough for the front row to gasp. His voice gravel rough with a faint Texas drawl that had no business in Ohio. Mom's head snapped up, Becca's mouth forming a perfect O, and Uncle Ray's face purpled like overripe plums. He told me stories about you, kid. About the boy who fixed up that old Schwinn bike and rode it into every sunset. No fear. About the man you became, loving, fierce, and free. Don't you bury that with him. The world tilted. Cameron's breath hitched, a sob clawing free as the stranger, Luke, he'd learn later, Luke Callahan, Tom's old rodeo buddy from a dusty summer in Cheyenne, pulled him into a hug that smelled of rain and resolve. The family froze, a tableau of Midwestern propriety shattered, and in that moment, under the relentless gray sky, Cameron felt the truth bloom like blood from a fresh wound. Hiding wasn't honoring. It was killing what Tom had loved most. The service splintered after that. Whispers hissed like serpents as mourners scattered to their cars, umbrellas blooming black against the downpour. Mom yanked Cameron aside by the tent flap, her face a mask of fury and fear. Who the hell is that man, and what did he mean? Loving, fierce, and free? Cameron James Hargrove. If you've... Not now. Mom. His voice was steel, forged in the fire of that hug. Luke's warmth lingering like a brand. Becca hovered, phone forgotten, her eyes darting between them like she was triangulating a divorce. Uncle Ray thundered over, Bible tucked under his arm like a weapon. Disgraceful. At a holy rite, Tom rolls in his grave. Luke didn't flinch. He stood there, jacket dripping, hands shoved in pockets, a half-smile curling like smoke. Tom and I go way back, right? Rode Broncos together, shared a bottle or two under Wyoming stars. He wrote me last year, when the docs gave him 6 months. Said his boy's heart was bigger than this town's narrow minds. Said to tell him, if I made the funeral and I damn near didn't, flight from Austin grounded twice, tell him Tom's proud, proud. The word hung, a lifeline in the storm. Cameron met Luke's eyes then, really met them, and saw not pity, but recognition, a mirror of his own hidden fractures. Luke's gaze held storms of his own. The faint scar above his brow from a bull's horn. The wedding band tan line on his finger faded to ghost. The way he stood just a beat too close, like gravity had rewritten its rules. The drive back to the house was a funeral of its own. Mom white-knuckled the wheel, radio tuned to static hymns, Becca texting furiously, probably to her husband, prepping damage control for the family group chat. Cameron stared out at the blurred cornfields, Luke's card burning a hole in his pocket. Luke Callahan. Callahan Ranch Repairs. Austin, TX. 512-555-0197. Scribbled on the back. Coffee tomorrow? Truth deserves black. No sugar. That night, the house on Maple Lane creaked under the weight of unspoken elegies. Mom retired early. Door clicked shut like a verdict. Becca cornered him in the kitchen over cold cuts and Merlot. Cam. What was that? Mom's wrecked. Uncle Ray's calling it a scandal. And that guy. He's... what? Dad's secret gay bestie. Cameron poured another glass, the wine staining his lips like accusations. Luke's just... someone who knew Dad. Really knew him. Becca's laugh was brittle, a shard of glass. Knew him how? Like, knew him. She air-quoted, eyes wide with the thrill of gossip masking hurt. They'd been close once, thick as thieves, but college and her picket fence life had carved chasms. Look, I get it. Dad was progressive for Elmwood. But this, at the grave, it's betrayal. Betrayal? Cameron's voice rose, echoing off Formica counters. Hiding who I am, that's betrayal. To Dad. To me. She recoiled, hugging her arms. You're being dramatic. We're family. We protect each other. From what? Himself? The thought lodged like a bone. He drained the glass, the burn a poor substitute for Luke's grip, and climbed the stairs to his old room. Posters faded, twin beds sagging, the air stale with boyhood ghosts. Sleep evaded him, tangled in sheets that smelled of mothballs and memory. Tom's old journal, unearthed from the attic that afternoon, lay open on the nightstand. Pages yellowed, ink faded, Cam's first crush on that Ramirez kid. Broke my heart seeing him hide. Wish I could tell him it's okay to shine. Shine. Cameron traced the words, tears hot on his cheeks. By dawn, resolve hardened like frost on the windowpane. He texted Luke, coffee. 8 a.m. Perkins on Route 2. Black, no sugar. The diner was a time capsule. Vinyl booths cracked like old smiles. Waitresses in starched aprons calling everyone Han. The sizzle of bacon a hymn to heart attacks. Luke slid into the booth across from him. Jacket slung over the seat. Flannel shirt rolled to elbows revealing forearms corded from ranch work. Close. He was weathered oak. Lines etched by sun and sorrow. A jaw that could cut glass. Lips quirked in perpetual challenge. You came, Luke said, voice low, stirring cream into his own cup despite the note. Couldn't not. Cameron's hands shook on the mug, steam curling like confessions. How'd you know? About me? Luke leaned back, boots scuffing linoleum. Tom's letters. Man could write a novel about a fence post. Said you were his light, but this town dimmed you. Said you deserved better than pretending. Letters. Plural. Cameron's chest tightened. He never said that to me. He figured you knew. Luke's eyes softened. A crack in the armor. Rodeo life's brutal. Bulls don't care about your secrets. Tom and I, we shared a few under the stars. Nothing but talk. Mostly. But he loved hard. Cam. Like you. The air thickened, charged as a summer storm. Cameron's pulse thrummed, drawn to this man who wore truth like a second skin. They talked for hours. Tom's wild youth, bucking broncos in Cheyenne, Cameron's escape to Columbus, Pixel's hiding heartaches, Luke's divorce 2 years back, a wife who'd called his wandering unnatural, leaving him with a ranch and regrets. Laughter slipped in, unbidden, easing the grief like balm. By checkout, the rain had cleared, sun gilding the lake horizon. "Stay in town a bit?" Luke asked, casual as checking the oil. Cameron hesitated, Mom's face flashing, betrayed, brittle. But Tom's words echoed, "Shine." Yeah, I will." That decision unfurled like a flag in wind, rippling through the days that followed. Elmwood, for all its smallness, stretched under autumn's amber glow. Bonfires crackling in backyards, high school football under floodlights, the lake whispering secrets to the shore. Cameron crashed at the house, attic room his bunker, dodging Mom's pointed silences and Becca's probing texts. Everything okay? Mom's chain-smoking again. Luke rented a room at the Elmwood Inn, a sagging Victorian with lace curtains and ghosts. They met in stolen slivers, walks along the pier at dusk, hands brushing like sparks, drives in Luke's truck to hidden coves where waves lapped pebbles, stories spilling freer than beer at the roadhouse. Luke was a revelation, rough-hewn romance, quoting Whitman between drags on a Marlboro, his touch tentative at first, a graze of knuckles, then bolder, fingers tracing Cameron's jaw under harvest moon. One night, parked on a bluff overlooking the lake, stars pricking the velvet sky, Luke turned to him. "This us, it's fast." But Tom's ghost says, "Slow down. Savor." His hand cupped Cameron's neck, thumb stroking pulse point. The kiss ignited, salt and smoke, bodies pressing urgent against the bench seat. Cameron gasped into it, years of restraint unraveling. Luke's growl a vow. "You're safe here, darlin'. No hidin', safe." The word was foreign, intoxicating. They tumbled into rhythm, mornings at the diner trading sections of the Plain Dealer, afternoons fixing fences at the old Hargrove plot, Tom's hobby farm, now Becca's weekend escape, evenings tangled in Luke's motel sheets, skin mapping scars and sighs. Cameron felt alive, colors sharper, grief a companion not a captor. But shadows lurked. Mom's sidelong glances at his late returns, Uncle Ray's pulpit thunder about sodomites infiltrating the flock, Becca's voicemails laced with worry. "Cam, people are talking. Come home. Sort this." The crack widened on All Souls' Eve, Elmwood's harvest festival in the town square, pumpkin lanterns flickering, hayrides rumbling, kids in ghost sheets shrieking joy. Cameron and Luke slipped in late, hands linked under jacket sleeves, stealing cider and cotton candy like truants. Laughter bubbled as Luke won a ring toss, crowning Cameron with a stuffed bear bigger than dignity. But then Becca materialized, arm in arm with her husband Mark, eyes narrowing at the bear, the flush on Cameron's cheeks. "Having fun." Her tone was syrup over shards. "Yeah." "You." Cameron's grip tightened on Luke's sleeve. She glanced at him, the stranger who'd appended their dirge, lips pursing. "Mark and I were just saying, it's nice seeing you. Socialize. But Mom's not eating. Thinks you're spiraling." Luke stepped forward, easy charm masking steel. "Ma'am, your brother's holdin' steady. Grief's a bitch. But he's right in it. Becca's laugh tinkled. Forced. Writing. Cute. Like Dad's old stories. Her eyes flicked to their proximity. Calculation sharpening. Hey, Cam. Remember that time we found Dad's letters? The ones from his rodeo days? Mom burned half of them last week. Said they were too painful. The world stuttered. Letters. Tom's letters to Luke. Burned. Cameron's stomach plummeted. Cider souring to bile. What letters? Becca shrugged, feigning innocence. Old stuff. Wyoming adventures. Nothing important, but her eyes said everything. That night, confrontation brewed in the kitchen. Mom at the sink scrubbing pots till they gleamed accusation. Cameron burst in, Luke trailing like a shadow. The letters. Mom. Becca said you burned them. Her shoulders sagged. Sponge dripping. They were private. Cameron. Your father's. Indiscretions. Indiscretions. Luke's voice rumbled. Low thunder. Tom loved Ellen. Deep. You can't erase that. She whirled, eyes wild. He loved us, this family, not whatever this is. Her gaze raked Luke, then Cameron, the bear tucked under his arm like evidence. I asked one thing. One day to grieve without your lifestyle on display. And you bring him, parading like it's Pride Month in San Francisco? It's not a parade, Mom. It's me. Cameron's voice broke, raw as peeled bark. Dad knew. He accepted. Accepted, she laughed, bitter as black coffee. He tolerated. For peace. Like I do. The words landed like blows, staggering him. Luke's hand found his back. Steady, but Cameron shrugged it off, storming out into the night, boots crunching frost-kissed grass. He drove to the lake, tires spitting gravel, waves crashing fury to match his own. Hours later, Luke found him there, huddled on the pier, bare-sodden, tears freezing on lashes. She's wrong, Luke murmured, wrapping him in jacket and arms. Tom wrote those letters to me, 'cause he saw himself in you, brave, breaking free. Don't let her dim that. They made love under the stars that night, urgent and tender on a blanket spread over pebbles, bodies a bulwark against betrayal's chill. Dawn painted them gold, but the fracture lingered, a hairline in marble. Weeks blurred into winter's grip, Elmwood hunkering under snowdrifts that muffled sins and secrets alike. Cameron extended his stay, citing estate matters, sorting Tom's toolshed, a labyrinth of wrenches and regrets. But really, it was Luke, the anchor he couldn't weigh. They carved a fragile idol, snowshoeing the bluffs, breath clouding in crystalline puffs. Holing up in the ranch house Luke borrowed from an old contact, a sagging A-frame off Route 6 with a wood stove that roared defiance at the cold. There, in flannel and firelight, they built something real, stories swapped over venison stew, fingers laced during PBS documentaries on queer icons, nights where Luke's whispers traced spine and soul. You're my Wyoming, Cam. Wide open, wild, but idols in Elmwood were illusions, thin as lake ice. Becca's texts escalated from concern to crusade. Mom's seeing a therapist. Says the funeral broke her. Your friend isn't helping. Uncle Ray's sermons grew pointed. Flyers slipped under the door quoting Leviticus. The church marquee winking repent and be healed. Cameron ignored them, burying hurt in Luke's laugh. But the town whispered, Gas station nods turning to stares. The diner waitress comping pie with pitying smiles. The betrayal deepened on a sleet-lashed afternoon. Cameron knee-deep in the tool shed, oiling Tom's old chainsaw, the scent of pine and metal a ghost of father-son weekends. His phone buzzed. Becca. Come over. Important. Alone. Dread coiled, but he went, truck skidding into her driveway, the colonial with its wreath of plastic holly mocking festivity. She met him at the door, flour-dusted from holiday baking, but her smile was brittle as gingerbread. Cam. Good. You're here. Mark's out. Guy talk. Inside. The living room gleamed, tree twinkling, stockings plump, normalcy weaponized. Over spiked eggnog, she slid a folder across the coffee table, legal paper, crisp as fresh lies. What's this? He flipped it open. Tom's will, annotated in red pen. Lawyer called. Dad updated it last spring. Her voice softened, rehearsed. Everything to Mom. Split even with me. But there's a codicil. For you, his heart stuttered. The page detailed a trust, $50,000. Tom's rainy day, from the store sale, earmarked for Cameron's education or business venture. But caveat spiderwebbed, disbursement contingent on beneficiary demonstrating stable life choices, as determined by co-executors, Ellen Hargrove, Rebecca Hargrove. Stable. The word slithered, loaded. What the hell? Becca, this is blackmail. Her eyes widened, hurt puppeteered. It's protection. Dad worried about you, Columbus scene, all that partying. He wanted you safe, not derailed. Derailed. He slammed the folder, eggnog sloshing. By what? Loving a man? That's what this is. She flinched, but held ground. Mom and I talked. Uncle Ray advised. We love you, Cam. But if you keep this with that cowboy drifter, the money stays locked. For your own good. Betrayal bloomed full, thorns twisting. Tom, who'd hugged him after that barn fiasco, who'd slipped 20s for art supplies that bought concert tickets to indie queer bands, reduced to this, a posthumous leash, Cameron stormed out, sleet stinging like accusations, driving blind to Luke's A-frame. He burst in, folder crumpling in fists, words tumbling. They rigged it. Dad's money, for stable choices, code for straight, settled, silent. Luke pulled him close, stubble rasping comfort against temple. Bastards. Tom's better than that ghost they painted. They burned the codicil that night. Metaphorical. In the wood stove, pages curling to ash as flames danced mockery. But fire couldn't cauterize the wound. Cameron spiraled, doubt a blizzard in his veins. Was Dad ashamed? Tolerating? Like Mom said? Sleepless. He pored over salvaged letters, Tom's scrawl to Luke, vivid with rodeo dust and unspoken yearnings. Miss our talks, buddy. Life here's steady, but you remind me of fire. No mention of Cameron, but echoes my boy's got that spark. Gotta teach him to fan it, not smother. Luke saw the fracture, mending with touch and truth. Your old man's pride was in actions, not ink. He sent me to say it 'cause he couldn't. Their lovemaking turned fervent, reclaiming, Luke's mouth mapping collarbone, hips grinding rhythm like a heartbeat defiant. You're enough, he growled, breath hot. Always were. Christmas Eve dawned brittle, Elmwood blanketed in white, Carol's tinny from radios tuned to WLMW. Mom's summons came via Becca. Dinner. Family only. 6 p.m. sharp. Cameron balked, but Luke nudged. Go. Face it. I'll be at the roadhouse, nursing a Boilermaker. The house on Maple Lane was a diorama of denial. Table set with Dad's good china, turkey golden, candles flickering over forced cheer. Uncle Ray presided, grace invoking redemption's path. Mom's eyes were hollows, but she passed the cranberry. Missed you, son. Missed this. Cameron's fork clinked sharp. Tension hummed, electric as tinsel. Becca steered small talk. Mark's promotion, Junior's first steps, but Uncle Ray veered. Heard you've been entertaining. That Texan, trouble follows men like him. Luke's a friend. Cameron's jaw set. Rainbow pin back on his lapel. Defiant glitter. Mom's knife scraped plate. Friend. At your father's table. The dam broke. Cameron shoved back. Chair screeching. Dad's table? Where we pretend. Where you burn his heart to keep the facade. He hurled the folder remnants. Ash singed from his pocket. This your stability? Chaining me like a dog. Uncle Ray rose. Bible thumping. Sodomy's chains. Boy, repent. Repent. Laughter barked. Jagged. Dad repented nothing. He loved me. You. Luke. Fierce and free. And you? You're the jailers. Mom's sob cracked the air. I protected him. From whispers. From loss. Like I'll protect you. Protect? Or control? He grabbed his coat. Door slamming echo to his exit. Outside. Snow swirled confetti cruel. Streetlights haloing isolation. He drove to the roadhouse. Neon buzzing open. Luke at the bar nursing whiskey neat. One look. Cameron's wild eyes. Coat dusted white. And Luke pulled him into the alley. Kiss fierce against brick. Tasting salt and storm. Rough. Worse. Inside. Over peanuts and pitchers. Cameron spilled. The will. The ultimatum. Mom's tears like acid. Luke listened. Arms slung casual. Thumb circling Cameron's knee under the scarred oak table. Family's a rodeo. Darlin'. Bucks you off. But you climb back. His voice dipped. Intimate. Or you ride your own. They left arm in arm. Ignoring stares from the old guard VFW vets muttering over checkers. Back at the A-frame. They made a pact by firelight. New Year's. Columbus. Fresh start. Tom's trust be damned. Cameron's designs were gaining traction. Logos for queer-owned cafes. Murals for pride parades. Luke's ranch called. But Austin had space for two. Repairs by day. Starlit confessions by night. But fate, that capricious bronco, bucked harder. New Year's Eve. Elmwood Square pulsed with revelry. Fireworks prepped. Bandstand blaring Springsteen. Cameron and Luke joined the fringe. Beers in hand. Countdown ticking like a bomb. As Auld Lang Syne swelled, they kissed under the clock tower. Bold. Unbowed. Until Becca's voice sliced. Cam! She stood with Mom. Faces pale lanterns. Uncle Ray hulking shadow. This ends now, Mom said. Voice quaver to quake. Come home. Or lose us. Luke tensed. But Cameron stepped forward. Hand firm in his. I am home. With him. The ultimatum detonated. Mom's slap landed soft. More plea than punishment. Cheek stinging truth. You're killing me. Like you killed your father with shame. Shame. The word eviscerated. Flaying years. Cameron reeled, world tilting to gray. Luke caught him. Growl low. Enough, ma'am. Tom's shame was silence. Not love. Becca tugged Mom away. Whispers frantic. But the damage rooted. Venom vine. That night, alone in the A-frame, Luke called to a calving emergency. Cameron paced. Tom's journal mocking shine. But how? When light scorched, dawn brought Luke back. Mud-caked. Ice-shadowed. Calves breathin'. You. Barely. Confession spilled. The slap. The shame. Doubts whisper maybe they're right. Maybe I'm the fracture. Luke pulled him down. Blankets cocoon. Bullshit. You're the mend. His touch was worship. Lips on pulse. Hands mapping ribs like constellations. They moved slow. Deliberate. Reclaiming sovereignty. Cameron arching. Gasping Luke's name like prayer. Release a revelation, I am enough. January thawed the rift. Tentatively. Mom's card arrived. Forgive? Coffee? And signed. But olive branch. Cameron met her at Perkins. Black no sugar. Words halting. I loved Dad. All of him. Let me love myself. Tears traced her wrinkles. I feared losing you. Like him. You're not. Hug tentative. But real first crack in the wall. Becca followed. Lunch at the diner. I pushed too hard. Scared of change. Apology tasted like pie crust. Flaky but filling. Uncle Ray held out longest. A tract in the mailbox. Come to service. Deal. Cameron burned it, but invited him to the toolshed see Dad's legacy. Tools, not sermons. Ray came, grudging, fingers tracing hammer worn by Tom's grip. He was good, Ray muttered. Flawed. Like us. Flaud's human, Cameron said. Loves the grace. Ray nodded. Once earthquake small, but shift. Spring greened elmwood. Lake unfurling blue banners. Cameron and Luke mended fences literal. Repainting the hardware store sign. Hargroves. Built to last. Rainbow subtle in the curve of the H. Mom watched from the porch. Smile tentative. Becca brought pie. Mark trailing awkward. Heard Austin's nice. Y'all. Happy. Happier. Luke clapped his shoulder. Easy. Graduation came for Cameron's nephew. High school. Caps airborne. Family gathered. Whole. Uncle Ray in the bleachers. Mom beaming. Becca snapping pics. Cameron sat with Luke. Hands linked under bleacher shadows. Normalcy a quiet triumph. But harmony's fragile as eggshell. May bloomed betrayal anew. Becca called. Voice tremor. Mom's sick. Tests. Bad. Like Dad's. The world contracted to hospital fluorescence. Mom's room a sterile confessional. Cancer. Aggressive. Pancreas. Stage 3. Cameron sat vigil. Luke fetching coffees. Becca crumbling. I told her about the will. Pushed her. Guilt. No. Cameron gripped her hand. Grief's thief. Not us. Mom rallied. Chemo a gauntlet. But words flowed freer. I burned those letters 'cause they hurt. Tom's youth. Wild. Away from me. Feared you'd run too. Didn't. Staying. He kissed her forehead. Luke in the hall. Sentinel. Remission whispered summer. Tentative. Picnics by the lake. Mom frail but fierce. sharing Tom's tales unburnt. Your father danced, you know, with men, once, in Cheyenne. Laughed like thunder. Luke grinned. Knew it. Healing wove slow. Family dinners sans sermons. Uncle Ray's nod evolving to God loves all. Becca's hugs lingering. Cameron's trust unlocked. Lawyer citing, intent over ink. $50,000 seed for a design firm. Hargrove Inc. Logos for the marginalized. August scorched. Lake steam. One night. Bluff bonfire. Family invited. But just them, Cameron. Luke. Stars witnesses. Marry me? Luke asked. Ring simple silver. Engraved shine. Yes. Kiss sealed. Firefly lit. Fall returned. Leaves pyre gold. Mom stronger. Becca pregnant again, news toasted with root beer. Elmwood softened. Whispers to well wishes. But the arc bent by, not straight. Winter whispered warning. Mom's scan clear. But Uncle Ray's heart attack felled him mass. Sudden. Vigil reversed. Cameron at bedside. Love you, Uncle. Flaws and all. Ray's grip weak. Knew that. Forgive my blindness. Death came gentle. Snow muffled. Funeral echoed Tom's. Church packed. Eulogies honest. Cameron spoke. Ray wrestled angels. Lost some. One grace. After. At the grave, same plot. Kin close. Luke's hand in his. Mom's nod approval. Truth spoken. No strangers needed. Yet life looped. Kismet cruel. Bring. Luke's ex surfaced. Austin call. Ranch foreclosure. Need help. Betrayals echo. Wife claiming half. Hidden debts surfacing like lake weeds. Cameron flew south. Luke frayed. Shoulda told you. Thought it buried. Nothing buried. They fought, words whips. Hurts hurled. But mended in motel neon. We're the fix. Ranch saved. Debts divided. Back in Elmwood. Summer solstice bonfire. Family full. Toast to Tom. Ray. Resilience. Epilogue whispered autumn. Cameron's firm bloomed. Murals in Cleveland, queer saints in street art. Mom traveled. Wyoming bound. See what Tom saw. Luke proposed formal Elmwood pier. Sunset gilding waves. Ride with me. Always. Vows exchanged under harvest moon. Family witnesses. Becca maid of honor. Mom beaming. Even Ray's ghost in wind. Dance floor spun. Luke's two-step. Cameron's sway. Love's rhythm unbroken. In the end, truth wasn't spoken once, but lived fierce, free, familial. Elmwood endured, smaller for scars, vast for hearts. And under those same stars, Cameron shone, unhidden, whole. No, the arc wasn't linear. Life's a goddamn spiral, twisting back on itself with teeth bared. That summer after the proposals, with wedding plans sketched on napkins over Lake Perch at the roadhouse, the call came like a thunderclap from clear sky. Becca. Voice splintered over speaker. Cam. It's the firm. IRS audit. Dad's trust. They say it's fraud. Mom's name on it. But they're coming for everything. Fraud. The word detonated in the cab of Luke's truck. Tires hydroplaning on wet blacktop as Cameron white-knuckled the dash. Tom's trust. That hard-won seed for Hargrove Inc. Now a noose? What do you mean? Fraud. Lawyers scrambling. Uncle Ray's will. Turns out he contested Dad's codicil years back. Called it undue influence. Mom signed something to settle, but hidden clauses. They're saying the money was laundered through the store. Tax dodges. If it sticks, liens on the house, the firm, everything. Luke's jaw clenched. Truck veering into the A-frame's drive. Gravel spitting accusation. Ray's ghost. Huh? Even dead. He's buckined. Inside. Fire unlit. Chill seeping like doubt. Cameron paced the pine floors. Phone glued to ear as the lawyer droned legalese. Discrepancies in Tom's books. Ray's old grudge festering into paperwork poison. Your father's records were creative, the suit said. Euphemism for fudged ledgers to keep the hardware afloat during '08 crash. But this? It implicates the estate. Executors, your mother, sister could face charges. Mom. Becca. The women who'd clawed for stability, now shackled by it. Cameron's world contracted to audits and affidavits. Wedding rings gathering dust on the mantel. Luke hovered, coffee brewing strong. But tension crackled. His ranch calls multiplying. Austin's pull like undertow. We fight this, he said. Arms banding Cameron's waist from behind. Chin on shoulder. Like we fought the will, but fighting fractured them. Days bled into depositions in Toledo. Cameron in ill-fitting suits. Spinning pixels into alibis for Tom's ink. Nights. Luke waited with takeout and silence. His touches turning tentative. As if Cameron's stress were contagious. Talk to me, darlin'. You're slippin' away. I'm drowning, Cameron admitted one midnight. Sheets twisted. Lake wind howling dirge through cracked sash. This town's curse, Dad's secrets. Ray's righteousness. What if it's me, the queer son? Unraveling the knot. Luke's laugh was rumble soft, pulling him close. Bull. You're the thread holdin' it. His mouth claimed Cameron's. Urgent. Hands roaming possessive, sliding under tea. Thumbs circling nipples to peaks. Drawing gasps that shattered silence. They moved desperate. Bodies slamming rhythm to rage. Cameron straddling. Grinding down. Luke's groans muffled in neck as release ripped through. Sweat slick salvation. See? Unraveled together. Becca crumbled under the strain. Pregnancy rounding her to vulnerability. I pushed the will, she confessed over hospital cafeteria slop. Mom napping post-chemo checkup. Thought it protected you from yourself. Now it's poison. Forgive, Cameron asked. Hand over hers. Bump kicking hello. Already did. Tears salted fries. But Mom. She's hiding scans. Worse than remission. The lie landed like lead. Mom. Frail architect of facades. Now building one terminal. Confrontation in her room. Monitors beeping betrayal. Why hide? Her smile wavered. For drip mocking. Didn't want to steal your joy. Wedding. Firm your shine. Shine dim without you. He held her. Bones bird fragile. Luke in hall fetching jello like a man on eggshells. The audit escalated. IRS agents in starched shirts combing Elmwood like locusts. Tom's old ledgers unearthed ghosts. Wyoming fund. Slush for rodeo trips. Winking at Luke's name. Interrogations turned personal. Relationship with Mr. Callahan? Influence on disbursements. Cameron stonewalled. But doubt gnawed. Had Dad funneled love as cash? Binding them in ink? Luke. Dragged in for statement. Emerged ashen. They grilled me on Tom. Like we were. Lovers hiding loot. Were you? The question slipped. Venom unintended. Luke's eyes flashed storm. Talks and tense. Cam. Nothing crossed. But jealousy don't suit you. Fight erupted. Words shrapnel. Cameron accusing complicity. Luke hurling ungrateful. Echoes of mom's slap. Door slammed. Luke to the truck. Taillights red wounds in night. Alone. Cameron spiraled to the pier. Waves gnashing like accusations. Hours later, Luke found him, soaked and shivering, pulling him into the cab without words. Drive to the A-frame silent. But arrival thawed. Luke's hands framing face. Kiss apology slow, deep, tongues tangling forgiveness. Scared me, Luke murmured against lips. Losing you to ghosts. Scared me too. They stripped by firelight. Skin to skin. Love-making liturgy. Luke's mouth trailing fire down chest. Taking Cameron slow. Eyes locked as pleasure built. Crested, union unbreakable. Dawn brought alliance. Hire a forensic accountant. Pro bono queer lawyer from Cleveland. Digging unearthed truth. Raise contest forged in spite. Post-stroke dementia twisting facts. Mom testified. Voice read thin. Tom's books were mercy, not malice. Saved jobs. Fed families. Becca backed her. Hand on heart. My father's honor. Not fraud. The case cracked. IRS retreating with tail tucked. Trust intact. But victory tasted ash. Mom's decline accelerated. Pain a tide pulling relentless. Hospice came home. Maple Lane a vigil of morphine and memories. Cameron read Tom's letters aloud. Salvaged fragments. Love's no ledger. Son. Balance with heart. Luke cooked. Beef stew simmering solace. His presence rock for Becca's breakdowns. Mom's murmurs. One dusk. As fireflies blinked Morse. Mom called them close. Boys, she whispered. Hands twining theirs, Cameron's left. Luke's right. I was wrong. Hiding kills. Tom's truth. Your truth. Set him free. Do the same. We will, Cameron vowed. Throat boulders. Her eyes, lake blue like his, softened. Marry soon. In the garden. I'll dance. She slipped that night, breath easing to echo. Room filling with lilies, white, wilting not. Funeral was hers. Backyard. Wildflowers. No church stricture. Uncle Ray's widow read Whitman. I sing the body electric. Becca eulogized. Mom mended late, but deep, after scattering ashes on the lake. Boat rocking gentle. Wind carrying her to Tom. Cameron and Luke stood shoulder to shoulder. Rings exchanged simple. Silver bands. Engraved shine free. Wedding followed swift. Summer solstice garden riot. Roses rampant. Family full, Becca glowing. Mark grilling. Distant kin nodding approval. Vows under arbor. In storms and spirals. I choose you. Dance floor spun. Luke's waltz turning two-step. Laughter lifting grief. Night fell star-punched. Guests departing to fireflies glow. Honeymoon deferred. Austin first. Ranch reclaimed. Cameron's firm remote. But Elmwood pulled. Threads tinsel. Fall designs bloomed. Mural for town hall. Queer pioneers etched in Elmwood grit. Winter whispered new. Becca's boy born. Named Thomas Ray legacy looped. Cameron held him. Tiny fist gripping finger. Uncle's got you. Luke watched. Arms slung. Our turn soon. Soon. Kiss sealed. Snow falling benediction. Yet spirals spin on. Spring audit echo. Rival designer poached clients. Plagiarism whispers. Cameron fought. Court again, truth's trial. Won. But scarred. Town thinks I'm Hargrove curse. Luke's growl. Blessing. Darlin. Fierce. Summer bonfire. Family circle. Stories of Tom. Ellen. Ray, flaws forgiven. Love ledger balanced. In the end, humaneness hummed quiet. No grand tragedy, but tapestry torn and rewoven. Cameron shone. Luke's light. Elmwood's reluctant prism. Truth spoken. Lived. Loved. Aloud. Unbound. The plagiarism suit hit like a sucker punch from the shadows, right as autumn leaves turned Elmwood into a postcard of false idol. Cameron's mural, Pioneers Unpainted, a vibrant wall on the community center celebrating queer locals from speakeasy flappers to Stonewall echoes, had gone viral, shares rippling from Cleveland rags to national feeds. Commissions flooded, logos for Austin bakeries, billboards for pride routes. But then the cease and desist. Emailed at 2 a.m. from a slick Chicago firm repping Elias Grant, a visionary designer with a TED Talk and a trust fund. Your work bears striking similarity to my client's unpublished portfolio, dated 2017. Cease distribution or face litigation. Attached, sketches. Eerily close, curves mimicked, colors echoed, but Cameron's originals timestamped years prior. Pixels his alone. Fuckers stealing my shine, Cameron snarled to Luke over Dawn coffee. Laptop screen glowing accusation in the A-Frame's kitchen. Luke, fresh from chores, boots mud-caked, flannel untucked, leaned over, brow furrowing like plowed earth. Chicago pretty boy. Huh? Smells like desperation. His hand squeezed Cameron's thigh. Grounding. Fight it. You're the real deal. But fighting fatigue lingered. A hangover from mom's loss. The IRS farce. Lawyers looped in, same queer advocate from the audit. Now billing hours like heartbeats. Discovery dragged. Grant's depositions dripping disdain. Claiming inspiration osmosis from a Columbus con in 19, where Cameron had tabled Prince. Great minds, Grant smirked via Zoom, his smile veneered shark. Becca, now mom to wriggling Tommy Ray, rallied with spreadsheets. Your files predate his by months. Becca Hargrove Investigations. At your service. Her laugh bubbled. Postpartum glow masking worry lines. Family fortified. Mark grilled suspects over fantasy football. Distant cousins donated GoFundMe bucks. But the toll mounted, nights sleepless. Cameron sketching defenses till dawn. Luke's arms his only ballast. This town's watchin', Luke murmured one storm-lashed evening. Thunder rumbling like judgment. Waitin' for you to crack. I'm cracked already. Confession slipped. Plagiarism pierced deeper than theft. Validation yanked. Like mom's slap redux. What if I'm no pioneer? Just echo? Luke's response was action. Hauling him to the studio shed. Tom's old toolshed reborn as canvas haven. Paint splattered. Easel scarred. Paint it out. He stripped Cameron slow. Kisses trailing ribs. Hands kneading tension from shoulders. Floor-bound. They tangled Luke's mouth hot on throat. Fingers curling inside. Prostate stroked to shudders. Cameron arched. Crying out as climax crashed. Luke following with groan guttural. Seed spilling warm. Echoes fade. Your thunder. Court convened in Cleveland Federal. Wood-paneled arena of suits and stairs. Grant preened. Entourage flashing watches like badges. Cameron testified, voice steady, art's heart, not hustle. Mine beats original. Exhibits flashed, files, witnesses, con organizers swearing timelines. But cross-exam twisted, Grant's counsel probing personal. Mr. Hargrove, your lifestyle. Does it influence creative liberties? Borrowing from the collective. Objection overruled. Sting homophobic subtle. Cameron's retort. Love liberates. Hates, steals. Jury deliberated 2 days. Snow blanketing courthouses. Verdict. Cameron's win. Damages modest but vindication vast. Grant slunk, muttering Pyrrhic, but whispers followed. Hargrove luck, family skeletons. Back in Elmwood. Celebration muted. Barbecue at Becca's. Tommy gurgling applause. But fracture festered. Anonymous notes in the studio mail. Go back to Austin. Ferry. Elmwood don't need your rainbow rot. Town's underbelly. Raise echoes. Luke found the latest. Crumpled by the wood stove. Who? Ghosts. Cameron shrugged. But eyes shadowed. Maybe it's time. Austin full-time. Luke's face fell. Fork pausing mid-bite at dinner, venison. His recipe. Ranch is yours. But leave-in feels. Defeat. Defeat. The word burrowed. Birthing conflict. Nights turned terse. Luke's late returns from repairs. Smelling of diesel and distance. Cameron's designs drifting south. Pixels plotting escape. Fights flared petty. Dishes undone. Boots tracked mud. Escalating to core. This place broke Dad. Breaks me. Why cling? 'Cause it's roots. Cam. Tom's. Yours. Luke's voice cracked. Rare vulnerability. Runnin' don't heal. Faces do. Climax crested Yule. Elmwood's lights twinkling tinsel lies. Christmas Eve service. First Presbyterian. Ray's old haunt. Now progressive pastor preaching love thy neighbor. Period. Cameron attended solo. Luke barnbound with a sick mare. Pews packed. Carols swelling. But midway, the note-dropper materialized. Old VFW vet. Tom's nom buddy. Face seemed spite. Pretty speech. Hargrove. He hissed post-service. Handshake turned claw. But Tom's spinnin', seein' his boy parade perversion in his church. Cameron yanked free. Heart hammering. Dad paraded nothing. But he loved. Me. You. Even your narrow ass. Vet's laugh wheezed. Loved, tolerated. Like we all did. Till you poisoned it. Poison. Betrayal's blade. Twisting generational. Cameron fled to the truck. Snow blinding. Driving labyrinthine to the lake. There. On the pier, frozen now. Treacherous, he screamed to waves. Ice cracking under boots like Psyche. Luke tracked him by phone ping. Truck lights piercing whiteout. Jesus. Cam. Get in. Haul into warmth. But Cameron shoved. It's me. The poison. Dad hid for this town. Mom died regretting. Ray hated. Stop. Luke's grip iron. Shaking sense. Your antidote. Wake up. Kiss crashed. Desperate, teeth clashing. Hands fumbling zippers in the cab. They fucked raw. Frantic. Cameron bent over console. Luke thrusting deep. Grunts mingling with sobs. Release purging venom. Sticky. Sacred. After. Tangled in blankets. Engine idling heat. Luke's whisper. Fight here. With me. Resolution dawned crystalline. Stay, but stake. New Year's. They launched Elmwood Echo's workshop series, Art for All, queer-led but open. First session. VFW vets sketching memories, the note-dropper absent, but others came tentative, thawing. Becca joined. Tommy on hip. Heal the haters. Or ignore 'em. Mom's garden bloomed defiant. Roses riot. Spring commission. Town hall expansion. Mural addendum. Echoes unsilenced. Figures intertwined. Straight and gay. Hands linked across divides. Summer solstice. Anniversary bonfire. Family expanded. Austin kin visiting Luke's sister. Bulldyke tough. Toasting kin by choice. Stories swirled. Tom's Cheyenne letters read aloud. Laughter at his poetic gripes on Broncos. But humaneness humbles. Fall. Mare fold complication. Stillborn. Luke shattered. Barn vigil turning to bottle. Cameron found him dawn-dazed. Whiskey breath. Lost it. Like I lose everything. Not me. Cradle close. Rocking like Tommy. Love-making gentle, slow strokes. I lock. Luke's tears salting skin as they peaked. Bonded in breakage. Winter whispered grace. Foal's sibling born spring. Leggy filly named Ellen trotting fire. Cycle spun. Firm thrived. Echoes echoed. Betrayals buried. Not forgotten scars mapping strength. In the weave. Romance rooted. Luke's proposal yearly. Ring twirl ritual. Cameron sketches. Luke immortalized cowboy heart. Open range. Elmwood endured. Prism prismatic. Truth. Once allowed. Echoed eternal. Loved. Lived. Luminous. Years folded like accordions. Elmwood's seasons a metronome to mending. Winter's woolen with wood smoke. Summer's sizzle of lake barbecues. Fall's fiery with festivals where Cameron's murals stood sentinel. Colors bleeding into collective conscience. Hargrove ink burgeoned. A cottage industry in the repurposed hardware store. Interns from Columbus State sketching beside Tommy Ray. Now 5 and finger-painting unicorns with rainbow horns. Becca's second. A girl named Lily Ellen. Toddled through sessions. Her giggles the firm's unofficial jingle. Mark. Ever the realtor. Hawked creative district tours. Elmwood rebranding from Rust Belt relic to artsy enclave. Whispers of queer-friendly slipping into brochures like subtle graffiti. Luke's ranch life wove in seamless. Weekend hauls to Austin for repairs. But home base the A-frame. Expanded with a studio loft where he'd carve leather cuffs. Etching shine in block letters for tourists. Their marriage. That solstice vow under roses. Deepened to bedrock. Anniversaries marked with pier walks. Hands linked against wind. Renewing rings with lake-dipped kisses. Lovemaking evolved lexicon. Mornings lazy. Coffee breath and languid licks. Nights fervent. Post-festival adrenaline channeling into wall-pinned passion. Luke's growls devolving to please as Cameron rode him slow. Eyes locked in litany of mine yours us. Yet dramas dogged. Nipping heels. The 10-year mark brought Betrayal's bastard child. Becca's revelation. Over pumpkin pie at Thanksgiving. Voice quaver like mom's old teacup rattle. Cam. I need to tell you. The notes, the VFW guy, it wasn't just him. I forwarded some. After the audit. Thought it'd scare you straight. Back to stable. The fork clattered. Turkey congealing. Family froze. Lily mid-giggle. Tommy stacking peas. Mark's Adams apple bobbing. Luke's hand clamped Cameron's knee under tablecloth, vice of support. "Becca," Cameron said, voice Arctic calm masking magma. "Why?" Tears carved her cheeks. "Pie forgotten. Pregnancy hormones. Postpartum fog. Bullshit excuses. I saw you shining, Luke anchoring, and it terrified me. Change. Losing the brother I controlled." Sob choked. "Mom's ghost, her regrets. Feared you'd leave us all behind. Leave." The irony barbed. Her pushes had nearly driven him away. Years ago. But time tempered. Forgiveness a muscle. Flexed in Mom's garden. Ashes mingled. "You almost broke us," he said, rising slow. "But we mended stronger. Apologized to the town. Public." She nodded. Wrecked. Next week's town hall. Becca at podium. Mike trembling. "I sowed hate, fearing love. My brother's courage shames me. Elmwood, forgive, as I beg his." Applause rippled. Tentative to thunder, VFW vet in front row. Nodding slow. Cameron, beside Luke. Squeezed hand. Human. Sung. Crested personal that winter. Luke's diagnosis. Slipped in over vet bills. Prostate. Early. Caught on routine. Manageable, Doc said. But shadow loomed. Cancer's specter haunting Hargrove halls. Cameron's vigil mirrored Mom's. Appointments in Toledo. Hands clasped in waiting rooms scented Lysol and fear. Nights turned tender terror. Luke's body. Once unyielding oak. Now fragile under flannel. Cameron tracing scars new and old. Mouth worshipping cock semi-soft from meds. Drawing moans that built to careful climaxes. Luke's fingers tangling hair. "Don't stop. Need you whole." "I am," Cameron whispered. Swallowing salt release. "We're." Treatment triumphed, chemo cocktail. Radiation roast. But toll tallied. Fatigue felling the rancher. Doubts dredging. "What if I dim you?" Luke confessed one blizzard night. Fire guttering. "Can't ride forever. Then we walk." Kiss sealed. Bodies aligning spoon, gentle rock. Penetration paused for prostate's peace. Mutual hands stroking to shared shudder. Dim? Never. Glow. Spring bloomed remission. Filly Ellen grown to mare. Birthing a colt they named Cameron's Shadow, sleek black. Spirit unbroken. Echo's workshop expanded. Sessions for cancer survivors. Art as armor. Tommy's first mural. Crude but bold. Family stick figures. Two dads holding hands with aunts and uncles. Langman lace daily. Luke's surprise. Summer eve, horseback to bluff. Picnic of Tom's jerky recipe. Stars unfurling. 10 years, he said, uncorking wine. To spirals upward. Kiss deepened. Blanket spread. Lovemaking lunar. Luke topping slow. Thrusts measured. Cameron's legs wrapped. Heels digging flanks like spurs. Peaks synced. Cries echoing waves. Ecstasy eternal. Nan Van nuanced fall. Uncle Ray's widow. Edna. Knocking tentative. Ray wrote letters too. Apologies. Unspoken. Shared over tea. Pages yellowed. Hated my hate. Love your light. Nephew. Forgiven. She joined echoes. Watercolor washes of regret to redemption. Winter's gift. Becca's third. Surprise rainbow boy. Named Luke Thomas. Christening at the lake. Family circle vast. Austin kin. Cleveland creatives. Elmwood elders. Vows renewed impromptu. In Cancer and Calumny, I Choose You. Ketuk Kong by Not Wholly Happy, Life's Ledger Balanced Bittersweet. Cameron, 38 now, gray threading temples like silver wisdom, surveyed the mural wall. Figures evolved. Elders added, Mom dancing, Ray nodding, Becca cradling babes. Luke, beside, arms slung, Our mark, legacy, Cameron agreed, leaning in. Kiss casual, witnessed by passersby nodding normal. Truth, once stranger spoken at grave's edge, now chorus, aloud in art, embraced in family, etched in endurance. Elmwood, once muzzle, now megaphone, queer voices volume up, love's volume infinite. And under that same gray sky, now laced gold by time, they walked home, hands linked, steps synced, shining still.